If you're trying to make hands by looking at two pretty hole cards and matching them up with the ones in the middle, you're not playing this game, you're a hand maker. This is a game where you need to outwit, outthink, outmaneuver your opponents.
I want to play 3 and 6 limit.
Okay, very good. What is the betting pace in this game?
Slow pace.
Slow pace, good choice. Okay, the betting stakes are 3 and 6, the betting pace. Your image at this point, we're going to say, is fairly good. You've got a good, solid posture. The players are reasonably afraid of you. That means, for all intents and purposes, we're considering ourselves on offense. So now, we deal the cards out. And with that, the first question is going to be, would you play this hand? And the second question is going to be, would your opponents play this hand? So I'm looking for an answer like no and yes. No, I wouldn't play it, but would my opponents? That way we're determining the style of your opponents and the betting pace in the game. So question number 1, who plays this hand? Okay, would you play this hand? I would highly recommend against it. Why? Because of the fact your position is very poor. And what is your plan? That's always the last question we're asking ourselves. Your plan here is only one. You don't make a 4, you're going to lose this hand. What's going to happen? You're going to be putting in units of chips, whereas limit, to begin with, is a game where you are trying to save bets and max bets. That's the winning and losing of limit. You're trying to save bets when you have a drawing situation or you're in the worst possible scenario you could be in. You lose less than your opponents. Or you're trying to maximize your wins when you have the best of the situation. It's very different than no limit. Limit is a game where almost every time, almost invariably, it's going to take the best hand at the end of the 5 cards in the middle to show down and win the pot. And there will often be 2 or 3 opponents against you. So you're looking for a hand that can hold up and stand up against a field of players. No limit's a very different game with a very different strategy, but we'll get to that next. So with that, limit, we're trying to save bets and we're trying to max bets. The problem with this is you open it up. You limp in for the smallest bet possible, 3. You can almost be assured of the fact that somebody's going to raise, at which point you're investing another unit, another bet. And if you don't hit the 4, which is only going to happen, Mikey, how many times? 10.8% of the time are you going to end up flopping 3 of a kind. That's less than 10, 11 times in 100. That's not very good odds. So 10.8 times you'll flop a set of 4s out of 100. Those are not good percentages. And if you don't flop a 4, you're almost certain to lose this hand. So what happens? Let the opponents, yes, they will play this. Let them come on in. What kind of hand are we looking for? Whichever one here suits me, and how would we play it? Next hand, Ace-Queen. Is this a hand? Sure it is. And this is the very kind of hand that's going to raise you. It's a legitimate raising hand. You've got Ace-Queen suited. Even though you're in early position, you're playing limit. You're not looking at throwing your whole stack in. So you raise. Now, you're eventually going to have to put 2 bets in. So what happens next? We go over to here. This is the player that you're looking for. The answer to this is no. We would never play this hand. There's no plan whatsoever. What you're looking for is 3 clubs, and that one I happen to know is 6.4 out of 100 times. If you put all 5 cards up in the middle, you're going to make a flush. Suited hands are bright, shiny objects. They're lures. Don't play them. Most of the time, you're going to find you don't make a flush, and what you have is a Jack-7 offsuit. But let your opponents play this, and they will. Ace-King, the very reason why this hand in early position was in jeopardy, because now if the ace does come in the middle, you don't know where you are anymore when you bet and he raises you. But still, it is limit and not no limit, and that's a viable situation to come into the pot with. Jacks, here's the kind of hand I'm looking for, but knowing full well and good, I don't know that this player has a jack, but knowing full well and good that it's not too dissimilar from the 4s. Meaning that a pair of jacks is going to lose most of the time unless you hit another jack. So what is my plan here? I don't want to limp in along with everyone else. I would like to raise it right now in an attempt to do 2 things. Number 1, to what I call buy the button, which means that if I raise it up again because it's already been raised once, I put the second raise in, it's now 3 bets to these 2 players. And if they throw their hands away, which is likely to happen, I now, for all intents and purposes, have moved the button here. I'm the last one to act. I have bought the button. Now, once again, What are we looking for? To try to do two things. To buy the button. Number two, a lot of times they all run to that door. If you raise it up, and even if the jack doesn't come, what does everyone have a tendency to do? Check to the raiser. So when you don't make the jack, what happens? They end up checking to you, giving you yet another chance at it. Okay, you raise it up 3 bets, we lose him. He would have normally come in because he was suited, not a very good hand. The button. This is a hand that a lot of people are messing around with a lot because of the fact that they've seen on TV button raise, button call, button play. You're always better off playing the button straightforward, in my opinion, because people will never give you credit for a good hand when you do. So this hand goes home. Now comes the small blind. All too often people put their blinds out and defend them to their last drop of blood. When you have a bad hand, throw it out. All those little whittlings away of your chips do two things. They whittle away at your stack, well, it's just a couple of more. And the other thing they do is they whittle away at your image because you turn into the person that puts money in, calls, somebody bets, you throw your hand away. So we would throw this hand away. People are going to come in a lot of times here because this is now the big blind and it's only 2 more bets to him and he thinks he's getting a bargain. What's his plan? When the queen shows up, he bets, look who he runs into. So he never really had a good plan. Finish up here, King 10. Once again, the sucker hand. The sucker hand that thinks he has something big when he doesn't. Because if he hits his king, look who he finds. If he hits his 10, look who he finds. And look at the position he's in where he's going to find it. Every time he bets, he gets raised from somebody back here. Once again, under the gun. You're first. You're at the blackjack table, 16, up to you. That's what we're looking at. But your opponents will play these hands. Now what do we get? Burn and turn. Look at what we show up with. 3 jacks, exactly what we're looking for. Look at how it ends up playing out. The queens think they have something. Why? Oh, gee, on TV they say I've got a top pair. That's pretty good. They bet. He's got an open-end straight draw. He comes along. The 2 4s, maybe they woke up and smelled the coffee and threw their hand away. The ace queen, he's got top pair. He's real happy with himself. He raises again. Now it's 2 bets. So the 2 bets probably are going to throw the middle pair out. But if they do, fine. If they don't, that's all the more welcome because we've got a very good situation here with the 3 jacks because we've got something big. Position. Position is what we've got. We're playing limit and not no limit. With that, they throw their hand away. A lot of people see this hand and they do one of 2 things. I hate this hand. They call this hand anacornucovia because it looks good but it never wins, or so they say. It looks like a real pretty hand, but the bottom line is that this hand is often misplayed by people. This person will play it thinking one of 2 things. If I catch a 10, I've got the nut straight, or if I catch an ace or a king, I've got top pair now with the best kicker. Again, drawing and guessing, not my style. But they come along for the ride, and it's now he bet, 2 bets, calls the 2 bets. Up to here, interesting scenario. 2 choices here. We're on the cheap street. It's $3. $3 cheap street means that it's going to go up to twice that much on the next card. I don't think at this point right now I want to tip my hand and let them know I've got something. I think I'd rather just call and make everybody think that I've got a draw. Because raising isn't going to accomplish anything. I'm not going to get rid of these guys. They're going to come in for that other $3 bet, and all I'm going to do is put the focus back on me. I would call. I'm waiting to see if I can catch the card I really need on the 4th, and then really have a chance to maximize on my bets, which is not the card I was looking for, but still, nonetheless, it's still a pretty good card for me. The queens here finally start to smell a rat. They check. He still has the straight draw. Some people bet those. Let's give him enough intelligence to where he checks. Now we get over to top pair. He feels no pain. He thinks the 6 didn't help anybody. He bets. He calls because now he's got so much money invested, the pot's big enough. He's not going anywhere. He's glued. This guy will call you from Hong Kong now. What do we have? We're on the $6 level, the double level. Now we pop it up. Now it's 2 bets here. We may or may not get him. Some people get top pair and they call you all the way. Depending upon the player, once again, knowing your players, but you're trying to max out on bets, and here's a good time to do it. He throws his cards away. He's not going anywhere. He's got the nut straight draw. He's not going anywhere. He's got top pair with the ace kicker. He may go at this point. Let's give him enough credit to say he did. Now comes the river card. Thank you for watching. I'm Roger Rod, and I'm your poker expert for Professorit.com.